Hi guys, welcome back to Reading the Bible in a Year. Today is January 8th, day 8 of Reading the Bible in a Year. I just want to thank those of you who've subscribed to the channel. And if you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed as yet, I would be happy and really appreciative if you did so. Please hit that notification bell so that you are notified every time that I upload a video, which will be every day. I upload daily. I do aim for about 11:30 in the morning, but don't hold me to that. But you can hold me to the fact that I will be uploading every day. And if you like our videos, comment down below. We can discuss, the daily readings, and please give a thumbs up. All right, so with that being said, we're going to get into the reading for January 8th today. I'm going to somewhat recap some of what we did yesterday. I have a little bit of a reading for that, and it's going to transition on into what the upcoming readings for today will be. So again, kind of a recap of yesterday, and then kind of slowly moving into what today's will be. So, let's get into it. As Abraham looks out from the heights of Hebron over the now desolate Jordan plain, undoubtedly with awe and with obvious concern for Lot, he apparently has no way of knowing whether Lot was sufficiently righteous to be saved. There is no record that Abraham ever again sees Lot or even learns of his escape. Perhaps it is best that Abraham never knows of Lot's end in life, which is characterized by haunting fear, reclusion, and apparent disillusionness. That God had never saved Lot in the first place may have been a monument to his everlasting mercy, or perhaps a testimony to the high regard in which God held Abraham. What follows is the last historical record of Lot. Strangely, it involves a somewhat bizarre scheme on the part of Lot's two daughters to bear children by their father. The motive for their scheme appears to be legitimate enough, but under normal circumstances, their acts of incest would be unquestionably immoral. And although the record indicates that Lot was unaware of his involvement in the plan, it is all made possible by his apparent willingness to let his daughters get him drunk. Of continuing historical significance are the two sons born as a result of this incestuous relationship and the people who descend from them. Moab will become father of the Moabites, who will first settle northeast of the Dead Sea between the Jabbok and the Arnon rivers, but will later be driven out by the Amorites to an area south of the Arnon. Ben-Ami will become father of the Ammonites, who will be migratory and marauding Moloch worshippers in the land between Jabbok and the Arnon. Both nations will come into conflict repeatedly with Abraham's descendants, all as a result of events which now unfold. So, we are going to start at Genesis 19, verse 30, and we are going to read through to 38. Lot and his two daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his two daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine, and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father." That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him so we can preserve our family line through our father. So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son. She named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of reading that's going to take us into more about Abraham. So I'm just going to give you a little synopsis of what we are about to the other scriptures that we're going to start reading. So the human condition is always surprising. It has been 20 years since Abraham was in Egypt and lied to the Pharaoh about Sarah being his sister and not his wife. In the intervening 2 decades, Abraham has been reassured repeatedly that God will continue to bless him and keep his promises. Abraham has been honored with the very presence of God and made to witness the destructive power of God's judgment against Sodom and Gomorrah. Yet, almost unbelievably, the Genesis account records that Abraham once again lies about his true relationship with Sarah. This time to pre-Philistine father king whose titular name is Abimelech. Abimelech may desire to marry Sarah in order to form an alliance with Abraham, whom he undoubtedly regards as a powerful nomad prince. Fortunately, God intervenes before any doubt can be cast upon the paternity of the son whom Sarah will soon bear to Abraham. Not so fortunately, there continues to be doubt cast upon the character of this great man of faith. Despite all his outstanding qualities, Abraham appears to have a tendency toward deception. Interestingly enough, the same character flaw will be seen again in his son and grandsons. It simply stands as a warning that even men and women of faith can lapse in great sin. If there's any encouragement, however, it is in knowing that while there is bad in the best of mankind, there is also good in the worst. As a Canaanite, Abimelech is not a believer in the true God and undoubtedly engages in common heathen practices. Yet he asserts in his defense to God that he has acted in good conscience, even if he is somehow still guilty in God's eyes. Then he responds to divine rebuke with repentance, generosity, and kindness. Why Abraham is in the territory of Gerar in the first place is unknown. Perhaps it has to do with the direction of God, or simply because Abraham's herds and flocks need more pasture land than he can find for them in Mamre. So, we're going to go into the scriptures that discuss what we just read. And that's going to be from Genesis 20, verse 1 through to 18. Now, Abraham moved on from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while, he stayed in Gerar, and there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She's a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent man? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clean conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die." Early the next morning, Abimelech summoned all his officials. Then he told them all what happened. They were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never be done." And Abimelech asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my brother, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had made me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say to me, he is my brother.' Then Abimelech brought sheep and cattle and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham. And he returned Sarah, his wife, to him. And Abimelech said, 'My land is before you. Live wherever you like.' To Sarah he said, 'I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves, so they could have children again. For the Lord had kept all the women in Abimelech's household from conceiving because of Abraham's wife Sarah." Continuing on, we're going to be starting with Genesis 21, verse 1 through to 34. Now, the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God commanded him to do. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me and the country where you now reside as a foreigner the same kindness I have shown to you." Abraham said, "I swear it." Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, "I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today." So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock, and Abimelech asked Abraham, What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves?" He replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." So that place was called Beersheba, because the 2 men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Okay, so we're just going to pause here, and I'm going to give you a little setup of the next part of the scriptures that we're about to read. Okay? So at this point, probably 3 years have passed since Isaac was born, and it is the time of Isaac's weaning. Now, Isaac, again, is the son that Sarah bore for Abraham in their old age. The customary feast at the time of a child's weaning is normally an occasion for celebration, but the feast for Isaac becomes an occasion for resentment. Sarah knows that Ishmael, now a lad of 17, is mocking young Isaac, and that he also represents a threat to Isaac's righteous right of inheritance. Now, remember, Ishmael is Abraham's first son that he had with Hagar, which was Sarah's slave. So they're brothers. And Ishmael, the older brother, is now mocking Isaac, the younger. So let me just continue on there. It is therefore Sarah's wish that Abraham cast out Ishmael along with his mother Hagar. Naturally, Abraham is reluctant to do this, not only because of his natural ties to Ishmael, but also because of the customary law of his day, which forbids the expulsion of a slave wife and her child. But God, for his own reasons, instructs Abraham to do as Sarah requested, and Abraham makes the painful separation. As Ishmael and his mother wander through the desert region and their supply of water finally runs out, Hagar lapses into despair. Although 17 years old, Ishmael evidently is still immature and very dependent upon Hagar. The picture is that both Hagar and the boy are sitting in the desert, sobbing at their imminent death. But God responds to Ishmael's cry by providing a well of water, and he reassures Hagar that Ishmael will be the father of a nation. The account begins as Isaac grows from infancy into early childhood. So that's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into the scriptures for everything that I just read to you. Genesis 21, 8 through 14, and then 15 to 21. The child grew and was weaned. And on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac, your offspring, you will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. Okay, so that ends today's reading, January 8th, day 8. I hope you guys really enjoyed that as much as I did. If you did, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Also, a thumbs up wouldn't hurt. That would be great. And if you are new to the channel, I would appreciate it if you go ahead and just hit that subscribe bell and turn on the notifications so that you'll be notified each and every time that I upload a video. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow. Stay blessed. Bye.